The evening air around the old stone palace felt unusually still, as if the night itself was holding its breath. Warm lights glowed through the tall windows, spilling soft gold across the wide marble stairs. Elegant cars arrived one by one, their engines quiet, their passengers stepping out slowly in polished shoes and shimmering gowns. Inside, the Royal Heritage Gala had already begun. Music drifted through the halls. Crystal glasses chimed gently. Soft conversations filled the air like distant waves. It was the most prestigious charity event of the year in the city of Belmore. Only the most influential names received invitations. Business leaders. Philanthropists. Politicians. Artists. And tonight, among them, walked a man who believed he had already won life. His name was Daniel Carter. Daniel adjusted the cuff of his tuxedo as he stepped through the palace doors. He moved with the easy confidence of someone used to attention. Tall, well-dressed, and charming, he knew how to make an entrance. But he did not walk alone. At his side was a young woman in a glittering silver dress. Her name was Vanessa Lane. She held Daniel's arm proudly, her smile bright as camera flashes popped across the entrance hall. People noticed them immediately. Some whispered. Some simply watched. Daniel seemed to enjoy every second of it. He leaned closer to Vanessa and spoke softly. "Just stay close to me tonight," he said with a relaxed smile. "These events can be overwhelming." Vanessa laughed lightly. "I'm not worried," she replied. "Everyone already knows who you are." Daniel nodded, pleased. Yes, many people did know him. He was the rising star of Carter Holdings, a powerful investment company his family had built over 3 generations. Wealth had always surrounded him, like an invisible shield protecting him from ordinary worries. But there was one part of his past that many people in the room remembered. His divorce. 2 years earlier, Daniel Carter had separated from his wife after a quiet but painful marriage that had lasted nearly a decade. Her name was Emily Carter. The divorce had surprised everyone. For years, Emily had been seen beside Daniel at events like this one. Calm. Elegant. Reserved. Then suddenly, she was gone. The official explanation had been simple. Differences. Daniel never spoke about it publicly. Tonight, however, he seemed eager to show the world that his life had moved on. Vanessa laughed beside him as they stepped deeper into the ballroom. Crystal chandeliers sparkled above them like frozen stars. A small orchestra played gentle classical music near the far wall. Servers moved gracefully between guests carrying silver trays of champagne. The atmosphere was warm, elegant, and carefully controlled. Daniel lifted a glass and took a slow sip. "Perfect night," he murmured. Vanessa followed his gaze across the room. "Do you come here every year?" "Almost," Daniel said. Then he added with a quiet grin, "But tonight is special." Vanessa tilted her head. "How?" Daniel shrugged casually. "Let's just say, people here will remember me tonight." He did not notice the subtle looks exchanged between 2 older guests nearby. They watched him walk past with silent expressions. One of them sighed softly. "Does he really not know?" the woman whispered. Her companion shook his head. "Apparently not." Across the grand hall, preparations were being made for the evening's main announcement. A large velvet curtain covered the stage. Behind it, staff members adjusted microphones and checked the schedule. The Royal Heritage Foundation had always been led by an anonymous benefactor. For 10 years, no one outside a small council knew who funded the foundation's enormous charitable projects. Hospitals. Schools. Food programs. Entire neighborhoods had been rebuilt through its work. And tonight, for the first time, the mysterious founder would appear publicly. Excitement moved quietly through the crowd. Daniel glanced toward the stage and smirked slightly. Vanessa noticed. "You seem amused." I just enjoy these dramatic reveals, Daniel said. Do you know who it is? Daniel shook his head. No idea. But whoever they are, they clearly enjoy attention. Vanessa laughed. Well, tonight you might steal it from them. Daniel smiled slowly. Maybe. Across the ballroom, a quiet figure stepped into a private preparation room. The woman stood before a tall mirror. Her reflection was calm. Elegant. Graceful. Her dark hair was styled neatly. A deep blue evening gown flowed gently around her shoulders. Her name was Emily Carter. For a moment, she studied her reflection without emotion. Then one of the foundation's assistants spoke softly beside her. Are you ready, Miss Carter? Emily nodded once. Yes. Her voice was steady. But inside her chest, memories moved like slow waves. She remembered another gala years ago. She remembered standing beside Daniel. Back then, she had believed they were building something together. Instead, she had slowly realized she had become invisible in his world. Ignored. Dismissed. Replaced. The divorce had not been loud. There had been no public scandal. Daniel had simply moved on. And Emily had quietly stepped away. But stepping away had not meant disappearing. Over the past 2 years, she had done something Daniel had never expected. She had built something entirely new. The assistant opened the door. The announcement begins in 10 minutes. Emily gave a small nod. Thank you. She took one slow breath. Then she walked toward the stage. Back in the ballroom, Daniel and Vanessa continued greeting guests. Daniel's confidence grew stronger with every handshake. Every smile. Every admiring glance. Vanessa whispered happily, "You really are popular here." Daniel chuckled. People respect success. Suddenly, the orchestra's music softened. The lights dimmed slightly. A gentle chime echoed through the hall. Guests began turning toward the stage. A voice spoke through the speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining the Royal Heritage Gala this evening. The room fell silent. The speaker continued. For 10 years, the Royal Heritage Foundation has worked quietly to support communities across the country. Daniel listened with casual interest. Vanessa leaned closer to him. This must be the reveal. Daniel nodded. Yes. The speaker paused. Tonight, for the first time, we are honored to introduce the founder and guiding force behind this foundation. Daniel crossed his arms lightly, curious now. The velvet curtain began to move. Slowly. Gracefully. The lights brightened across the stage. And then. A single figure stepped forward. Daniel's expression changed. His smile faded instantly. His body went still. Because the woman standing beneath the chandelier light was someone he knew very well. Emily Carter. His ex-wife. For several seconds, the entire ballroom remained silent. No one moved. No one spoke. Emily stood calmly at the microphone. Her posture was composed. Her voice, when she spoke, was gentle and steady. Good evening. The audience slowly began to applaud. Daniel felt the sound echo in his ears like distant thunder. Vanessa looked between him and the stage, confused. Daniel, isn't that? Yes, he whispered. His voice sounded dry. Emily continued speaking. For many years, the Royal Heritage Foundation has remained anonymous because the work was always more important than the recognition. Her gaze moved slowly across the crowd. For a brief moment, her eyes passed over Daniel. But her expression did not change. Tonight, she said softly, I decided it was time to thank the many people who believed in this mission. Daniel's heart beat faster now. He had known Emily as quiet. Reserved. But he had never imagined this. The foundation she had built quietly over the past decade was now one of the largest charitable organizations in the region. Millions of dollars. Hundreds of projects. International partnerships. And the woman behind it was the one he had left behind. Vanessa whispered again. You never told me she was. Daniel could not answer. On stage, Emily finished her speech. I hope our work continues to bring dignity and opportunity to those who need it most. The room exploded into applause. Guests stood. Cameras flashed. Daniel remained frozen. Vanessa slowly removed her arm from his. You said she disappeared, she said quietly. Daniel stared at the stage. Emily stepped away from the microphone and began greeting members of the council. She moved with calm confidence. Like someone entirely at peace with her place in the world. Daniel suddenly felt something unfamiliar. Not anger. Not jealousy. But realization. 2 years ago, he had believed Emily had walked away with nothing. He had assumed she would fade quietly into the background of his past. Instead, she had stepped into something far greater. And she had done it without ever needing his approval. The crowd slowly returned to conversation. Vanessa looked uncomfortable now. I think I'm going to get some air, she said softly. Daniel nodded without speaking. She walked toward the balcony doors. Daniel remained standing alone. Across the ballroom, Emily was now surrounded by guests congratulating her. She accepted their words with quiet grace. After several minutes, her eyes met Daniel's again. This time, she held the gaze. Not with bitterness. Not with triumph. Simply with calm understanding. Daniel slowly walked toward her. The crowd parted politely. When he reached her, the noise of the room seemed to fade again. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Daniel said quietly, I didn't know. Emily's expression remained gentle. I know. You built all of this. Yes. Daniel looked around the hall. The stage. The guests. The foundation banners. I underestimated you, he admitted. Emily gave a small, thoughtful smile. Perhaps. Daniel hesitated. I'm impressed. She nodded politely. Thank you. But her tone was distant now. Not cold. Just complete. The past between them no longer had weight. Daniel realized something important in that moment. Emily had not built the foundation to prove anything to him. She had simply moved forward with her life. Peacefully. Successfully. Without needing his validation. A staff member approached her gently. Ms. Carter, the council would like to introduce you to the international partners. Emily nodded. I'll be right there. She looked back at Daniel one final time. I hope you have a pleasant evening, Daniel. Then she turned and walked toward the stage again. Her blue gown moved softly through the crowd. Daniel remained standing in the center of the ballroom. The orchestra resumed playing. Conversations returned. The gala continued. But something inside Daniel had changed. For the first time in years, he understood something simple. Success was not about attention. Or applause. Or appearances. Sometimes the most powerful achievements were built quietly, far from the noise. And sometimes the people we think we know best are capable of becoming something extraordinary. Daniel watched Emily speaking with world leaders and philanthropists. She looked calm. Confident. At home in this place. The woman he once believed he had outgrown had become someone far greater than he ever imagined. And she had done it while he was too busy looking elsewhere. The night moved forward gently. Music floated through the hall. Laughter returned. But Daniel Carter would remember this evening for the rest of his life. Because it was the night he learned a quiet truth. The woman he once overlooked was the queen behind everything.